Alright, back. Had to answer a phone call. My cousin called. So, we had just finished the director's quarters and were returning to the warehouse when Tenmyoji forgot his photograph of Akane and went back to fetch it. So let's see where we are in the flow of things. Ah, yes. Good stuff. So let's see where we go from here. And they were gone. Guess I should be getting back then. Warehouse, eh? I stepped into the warehouse to find all the other teams already there. Kay and Luna, Fine Clover, and Dio. The moment Dio spotted me, he dashed over to the rightmost AB room and slid his card through the reader.
Remain until Ambidex game post closes.
As he turned to look at me, I swore I saw a flash of a smug grin.
There. Happy? This time I waited for you to get back before I opened it. You see? I can be considerate.
But Tenmyoji and Quark aren't here.
Yeah, where are they?
I guess they forgot something back in the room we found. They ran back to grab it real quick.
I'll be here in a few minutes. No big deal.
While we waited, we exchanged information about the rooms we'd investigated. Unfortunately, none of it seemed very useful. None of us had found anything, and we were no closer to unraveling any of the increasing number of mysteries we were faced with. With that discussion exhausted, we sat down to wait. Before long, 20 minutes had passed since Dio opened the door, and Tenmyoji and Quark were nowhere in sight.
Don't you think they're taking a little long?
Yes, I'm getting worried. What if something happened to them?
I'll go have a look.
Then I shall accompany you.
No, I'll be fine by myself. It's not that far away.
Just don't look into the abyss too long, or you might become a monster.
That's... I don't think... Oh, okay. Look, I'm just going to Director's office. I'll be right back. No big deal. Right. See you guys later. I gave a quick goodbye wave and stepped out of the warehouse. Oh boy, what do we find? Huh, that's odd. There's nobody here. Picture's gone though. Tenmyoji and Quark must have been here then. I laid out the floor beam map. We must have taken the door that faces the warehouse. And after that, they probably went through the warehouse and out the blue door. The elevator, yeah, that's a much shorter route. On the other hand, I came through the red door, which is kind of the long way around. Looks like we managed to miss each other perfectly. This was a huge waste of time. Shoot. Might as well head back, I suppose. I packed up the map and was headed to where the door went. Huh? There's a light on where there hadn't been a light before. What? Why is that thing on? We messed with it earlier, but nothing seemed to work. I felt a sudden wave of inexplicable, nauseating dread. The light stared at me. I swallowed and edged closer. The machine was in arm's reach now. I stretched my hand out toward it slowly.
So, you finally made it.
No, you're...
I am Zero. I was the one who brought you here. You undoubtedly have as many questions for me as there are stars in the sky. As you can see, however, this is only a recording. I will therefore be unable to directly answer any questions. Ask if you wish, but I cannot respond.
I considered taking a swing at him, but decided that was spectacularly futile and kept my balled fist at my side.
Now, where to begin? There are many things I wish to tell you, but unfortunately, our time is limited. As such, the information I can provide is also limited. I have chosen two things of great importance to tell you. First, I will tell you about termites. In retrospect, I suppose that's a rather odd thing to say. I imagine you look rather bewildered right now. Perfectly understandable. The person who kidnapped you and threatened you with death is lecturing you about insects. I suspect it hardly seems fair. Nonetheless, this is very important. In a way, it will determine your fate. So I ask that you listen carefully. Have you ever seen a termite mound? They are splendid structures. Some might even call them works of art. Termites are natural architects, and their mounds are both structurally sound and make excellent use of space. So, are they following some sort of plan as they build? Are there termite blueprints, detailing which room goes where? No, of course not. Each termite is simply an oblivious cog in a tremendous machine programmed by millions of years of termite DNA. It is doubtful an individual termite has any idea what its contributions are helping to create. But a human does. We can appreciate the elegant forms of their alien cathedrals. We can see the simple beauty of their perfect functionality. We can understand the splendid planning of their structure. In other words, only an intelligence of a higher order can understand the beauty of what the termite builds. Now, consider humans. Why are we alive? Why do we love and give birth? Why do we create? From where do our cultures spring? There are many theories, but no one knows the truth. We are oblivious cogs in a tremendous machine programmed by millions of years of human DNA. No doubt you see now what this analogy is supposed to illustrate. Yes, I mean to say humans are not different from termites. We trudge through our lives with no greater understanding of our ultimate goal. You might say we don't understand what we're building. Only an intelligence of a higher order than ours can understand what we're doing. Imagine how we might look to such an intelligence. We may be building some structure so perfect and elegant, we can't even perceive it. Whatever it is, we've likely been building it on a dimension just above the ones we know since time immemorial. If we are like the termites, termites, then what we've created is almost certainly something of tremendous beauty. And you are about to catch a glimpse of it. Or have you already? Well, that's enough on that subject, I think. Consider what I've said. Now, let's move on to the second topic. It is somewhat more immediately meaningful to your life, and, in fact, the lives of several billion other people. I realize this is rather sudden, but I have a password for you. It is the password to disarm the bomb, numbered 1. Are you ready? I will only say this once, so pay close attention. The password to disarm the number 1 bomb is BQZ RGJ DXR. That is the last of the information this message was meant to convey. Before I go, however, I have a warning. You cannot tell any of your companions what you heard or saw here. If you do, you will be penalized immediately. I hope we will meet again someday. We would have much to discuss.
I find myself yelling at it at the air. The hologram had disappeared. Is it to take me for termites? Other dimensions? Anything? How could that have anything to do with kidnapping us? Shit. I kicked out a nearby shelf.
10 minutes remain. All players, if no vote.
Oh crap. I need to get back. Not like there's any point in staying here. Spin around and ran out of the room.
Grandpa! Look! Mr. Sigma's back!
Took you long enough.
Where are the others?
In the AB rooms.
They went in already? Why didn't you two? You been waiting for me?
Yeah! Grandpa said there was something he had to tell you before we voted, no matter what.
Nothing that significant. Just wanted to tell you we're going to choose ally this round. That's it.
You need to tell me no matter what? Seems kind of pointless. I mean, words are cheap. You can promise whatever you want.
True, but we've got something to back it up. Just hear me out.
Okay, go ahead.
Quark and I both have 8 BP. We're already on the home stretch. So what do we need to get to the magic number? Well, we need you to choose ally. If you do that, it doesn't really matter to us what we pick.
You get 9 whether you got 2 or 3 points.
Exactly. That being the case, we don't have any reason to betray you. And if we both choose ally, we both gain points.
True, but you must have considered that I'll choose betray. That would mean you choose betray to protect
That's
yourself.
why we're telling you we won't choose betray.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Alright, tell me one thing. So we do this and we both ally, everybody gets 2 points. That means you and Quark will have enough to leave, which is great for you. I'll be stuck with a measly 5. How do I know you aren't going to just open the number 9 door and leave us in the lurch?
I can guarantee it. I
How?
can give you my word. I will not open the number 9 door, even if I have enough points to do so. I swear it. We aren't going to abandon everybody else just so we can escape.
I swear too. I promise.
And so all you've got is a
When I
promise,
make
huh?
a promise, I keep it. Trust me.
Please! You've got to trust us!
Alright, fine. I'll trust you.
2 minutes remain until Ambidex game polling closes.
We're counting on you, Sigma.
You gotta choose ally! You promised!
That they turned and ran into the AB room from the right. Guess I should get moving. Excuse me.
1 minute remain.
I had a decision to make. Should I trust Quark and Temioji? Well, I believe they were telling the truth and still betray them. They bring my BP to 6. Would be that much closer to 9, and choosing betrayal would guarantee that they wouldn't try and escape without the rest of us. Betrayal seemed like a safe bet, but
Please! You've gotta trust it! You've gotta choose. You promised!
Temioji I could betray easily enough, but Quark? What the hell is I gonna do?
10 seconds remain until Ambidex game polling closes. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're gonna go with Ally.
Round 3 of the Ambidex game has been completed. Results will be thank you for your participation. Ambidex game. Results from round 3 of the Ambidex game will now be displayed. Please direct your attention to the results screen.
Wait, what? Wow.
Points have been assigned or subtracted accordingly. Please check your bracelet to see your updated bracelet points.
Hey, what the hell, guys? Why'd you betray
Quark
me?
had nothing to do with this. I made the vote.
Grandpa.
Alright, fine. Why'd you break your promise to me?
I only promised you one thing. We wouldn't open the number 9 door, even if we got 9 points.
So you're not going to
No,
leave?
I said. Of course we're going to leave. Look, see Clover over there?
Don't tell me.
Oh no.
Jeez.
That bitch!
Wait.
Quark and Tenmyoji have...
The words were barely out of her mouth when Tenmyoji and Quark ran past.
No! God damn it!
Clover. Are you really going to leave? Well, yeah. Why else would I open the door?
But why?
I'm going to go call the others, so we can capture Zero Senior.
Tenmyoji, are you and Quark going too?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry, everybody.
So Sigma, happy? I kept my promise. Clover opened the door, not me.
Like hell I'm happy. Some shady shit, Tenmyoji.
Say so. I have to get out of here, and that's that. He's gotta pay for what he's done. He? Zero.
You mean you know who Zero Senior is?
Yeah. No point keeping it a secret now, I suppose. I know exactly who Zero Senior is.
What?
The number 9 door has been opened. It will remain open for 9 seconds.
Let's go! Come on, guys. Time to move.
Right.
Oh, wait! This is for you, Mr. Sigma.
Down to see 2 pieces of folded paper. What is
It's
this?
a letter. I wrote it in the director's office before the AB game. I wanted to tell you what kind of guy Grandpa is, so read it, okay?
Pressed it into my hand.
See you later, Mr. Sigma.
Then he turned and ran toward the door, Tenmyoji and Clover following his footsteps. I was so surprised by the letter that I didn't even try to stop them, before I could think of anything to say.
See you.
Goodbye.
The number 9 door has closed. This ends the Nonary game. Thank you for your participation. As the game is over, all doors other than the number 9 door have been unlocked. Escape is not possible. Please enjoy your stay.
Shit! They're gone.
All we can do now is hope they bring help back.
Indeed.
I agree.
Looked down at Quark's letter and slowly unfolded it. His handwriting was still slightly uneven, but he'd filled both pages with writing I began to read. It was a really stormy day when he found me. He said rain was coming down so hard it almost hurt, but somehow he managed to hear a baby crying. I guess it must have been crying pretty loud. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay. Just had to deal with something downstairs. One of these days I'll figure out like standby screens and stuff like that, but oh well. A little lazy at this point. Guess I must have been crying pretty loud. He took me home and did his best to raise me, but he'd never been married or had a kid before, so I think it was really hard for him. He couldn't figure out how to mix the formula, so he was always carrying the directions around with him. Also, I guess I was a pretty picky eater, so if he didn't get the water to formula ratio just right, I wouldn't eat it. I guess I was kind of a pain, huh? But he didn't give up, and now here I am. When he found me, I was really, really small, and he was worried that I might not make it. That's why he named me Quark. Quark is a really, really small thing, and I was really, really small too. Grandpa didn't need to worry though, because it turned out that I was pretty tough. When I was 1, he forgot I was sleeping in the bed of his truck and drove off. I rolled out and went off the back, but I didn't even get scratched. I started walking when I was 2, and when he wasn't looking, I fell down the stairs. I didn't get hurt then either. When I was 3, I got really sick. I had a super high fever for a week, but eventually I got better. I guess you could say I'm pretty lucky. Anyway, I didn't really have any more accidents after that, and I was a pretty healthy kid. By the time I was 6, I had started helping Grandpa out with his work. His job was to gather junk from abandoned buildings. And he'd fix it up or pull out the useful parts and sell them. There were plenty of abandoned buildings, but finding good stuff in them was hard. You had to know which parts were useful, or you could end up wasting a bunch of time. Every time I'd find something, he'd explain to me what it was, how it was supposed to work, how to fix it, all sorts of things. Usually though, I just wanted to finish up work so I could go to the theater. The theater came to our town once a week in a wagon. They'd show old news or movies. They went every single week, but Grandpa only went once in a while, and he'd only go weeks when they showed movies. Oh yeah, I didn't know that I'd been adopted until I was 7. One of the other kids on my block told me. I guess after Grandpa found me, he looked all over town to try and find somebody who'd take me. The kid from my block actually had a mom, and he'd asked her if she would take me too. I gotta admit, I was pretty shocked when I heard that. There weren't a lot of kids with parents around, so hearing that someone lived with his actual mom was pretty impressive. I was also kind of surprised that Grandpa had tried to get someone else to take me. Did that mean he didn't want me? The kid who told me about Grandpa trying to get rid of me was a real jerk. He was totally spoiled, and he'd brag to everybody about how he had a mom. He liked to come up to me while I was working and say stuff like, "Must be hard not having a mother." It never bothered me before. But after I found out that Grandpa had adopted me, I started to think that maybe he didn't really want me. If I could work on my own, then he could get rid of me. I was scared to know the truth, so I never asked him. Then one day he took me to a bar in our neighborhood. During the day, of course. He went there sometimes to drink scotch, but I'd never gone before. When we got in, he just walked up to the counter with that grumpy look he has, and I thought, I know he's gonna make me work here, but I was wrong. I saw him pass something to the bartender, and then he picked me up and set me down on the stool next to the counter. The stool was pretty high, especially for a 7-year-old kid, and my legs just dangled off of it. It seemed really, really high to me, and I was pretty nervous. Eventually the bartender came over with a glass of scotch and another big glass full of something else. And as I looked closer, I realized that the second glass was full of some sort of brown liquid with a scoop of ice cream in it. It took me a minute to realize what it was. A root beer float. I had never seen one before. I was so surprised. Root beer was even more expensive than the nicest alcohol in the bar. To me and the other kids, it seemed more like an urban legend than a real drink. But there it was, right in front of me. I stared at the float. I still wasn't sure it was real at that point, and then turned to look at Grandpa. He looked back at me. I didn't know what to do, so I turned to the bartender. He already turned around and moved off, though, so I figured he must have put the glass down in front of me on purpose. It still didn't seem like it could be real. I was just staring at it when Grandpa told me to hurry up and drink it before the ice cream melted. His gruff voice sounded like an angel's. "Is this really mine?" He nodded. Words can't describe how awesome it was. I'd never tasted anything like root beer before. The creamy sweetness of the ice cream made my entire head feel light. I felt like the luckiest boy in the whole world. That's not an exaggeration. I really thought that. Root beer float was delicious, but what made me even happier was Grandpa. When I looked over at him, he was smiling. I know that's got to be hard for you to imagine, but he really was. Right then I didn't care whether he just found me and adopted me or not. He bought me a root beer float. That made me way luckier than some kid who had a mother but never tasted root beer. Of course, after we left the bar, he was the first kid I bragged to. So Grandpa and I were doing pretty good, until the fight. I was in a super bad mood that day. I'd torn one of my shoes that morning, and some old drunk guy had yelled at me. All the junk I found was totally useless. The day was almost over, and I was fed up, so I just grabbed some random trash and took it back to the house. When I showed what I had found to Grandpa, he frowned. He started going through each thing I'd brought back, explaining why they were all useless. I got really mad and just yelled, "I don't care." Then he got mad, and I couldn't take it anymore, so I ran away. I was pretty upset, and I started thinking that maybe Grandpa had only adopted me so he could raise me to work and make money for him. After a while, I went and hid in an abandoned building, but by then, I started to calm down and think that maybe I should go back and apologize. It had started raining pretty hard though, so I decided I should wait for it to stop. But that was just an excuse. The truth was I was nervous. Part of me knew I'd done something wrong, but I didn't want to admit it. The rain didn't stop though, so I just sat there staring out at the gloomy gray sky. I imagined Grandpa coming to get me. It kept raining all night, and he never showed up. I gave up waiting and decided it was time to go home. I was about halfway there when I heard somebody groaning. At first I thought I should just ignore it and not get involved. But I went over anyway, and it was Grandpa. He was totally soaked, and I could tell right away that he'd been there for a really long time. I yelled, and he opened his eyes a little bit. He smiled weakly and said he was glad I was safe. He spent all night out in the rain looking for me. I felt awful. Grandpa had been out in the rain looking for me so long that he'd collapsed. I was horrible. He'd heard me crying in the rain, but I hadn't heard him. As I ran to get the doctor, I promised whatever god might be listening that if they would only save Grandpa, I'd never ask for another root beer float ever again. He got a real bad fever, and his temperature wouldn't go down for days. The doctor said that if it kept up, he'd die. If he died, then I'd be all alone. There wouldn't be anybody left to care about me. The thought of that happening terrified me. Fortunately, I must have passed some of my luck onto Grandpa because a week later his fever finally broke. I was glad he wasn't going to die, but I was also a little scared. What if he had decided he didn't want a stupid kid like me around anymore? My plan was to apologize as soon as he woke up, but when the moment came, my brain just stopped. Grandpa started to talk, and it took me a minute to realize that he was apologizing. I didn't know what to think. He explained that he was an old man, and that meant he was probably going to die sooner rather than later. He was strict with me because he wanted to make sure I'd be able to make it on my own after he was gone. But maybe he'd been a little too strict. All of the things I worried about had been stupid and selfish. Grandpa cared about me a whole lot. He'd been worried when I ran off, and he'd gone out into the rain to look for me. I tried to apologize, but when I opened my mouth, I just started crying. I don't think I've cried that much since I was a baby. But he just smiled and patted my head. I asked him if he'd ever regretted adopting me. His eyes got all wide and he said, "Of course not." He told me that he was looking for a really important lady, and because of that he had to give up on pretty much everything else in life. But when he took me in and started raising me, he felt like he'd gotten some of what he lost back. That was when I decided I'd stay with him forever. Even if he said I couldn't. Okay, that was the Tenmyoji ending. Let's see, Tenmyoji end. In root beer, Veritas. Cool. Alright. So, yeah, let's just see what happens if I betray. Let's see where this goes.
Results from round 3 of the Amberdex game will now be displayed. Please direct your attention to the results screen.
Nice. Well then.
Points have been assigned or subtracted accordingly. Please check your bracelet to see your updated bracelet points.
Hey, what's the deal?
Quark had nothing to do with it. I entered the vote.
So why did you choose betray?
Couldn't I ask you the same thing? I don't really think this is the time for a fight, though. Look, Clover's over by the door.
Oh no.
The number 9 door.
Fuck, she opened it.
Ugh! Why? Clover!
Clover, what the hell do you think you're doing?
I'm going to call the others. I'll get justice for Alice.
The number 9 door. It will.
Time for me to go. No! Please, Clover, wait!
Like hell, I'm just gonna let you walk out of here.
Dio leapt at Clover, his fists raised. Clover easily avoided him and moved toward the door.
Goodbye.
I caught one last glimpse of her face as she slid through the door. It was a mask of ice.
The number 9 door has closed. This ends the Nonary. Thank you. For as the game escape, please.
Yeah. You know that part of it. Game over. Non-standard game over. Yep. Alright, we're gonna go back up here and see what betraying back up here does, which is probably gonna be another end. Oh, is this the one where she's like, I want you to betray? Let's see what happens.
Results from round 2 of the Ambidex game will now be displayed. Please direct your attention to
Ally. Betray. Ally.
Points have been assigned or subtracted accordingly. Please check your bracelet to see your updated bracelet points.
So, that's how it is, huh? Promises are made to be broken, I see.
I just couldn't bring myself to trust.
Chosen betray and killed you. That was a possibility.
Yeah, after all you did choose betray in the last round.
That was a completely different situation. Well, in any event, your idiotic paranoia has given Clover 9 BP. How do you intend to deal with that?
Don't worry, she'd never try and open the...
Really? Then what's that? Look, I believe she's standing in front of the number 9 door right now.
Wait, what the hell? No way. Damn, Clover gets out like a bandit in a lot of these endings.
Oh, the number 9 door.
She opened it.
Shit!
What the hell are you doing?
Sorry. Alice gave me an order, though.
Clover, you have to get out of here and call for help. My BP's down to 1. I'll have to play the AB game at least 3 more times in order to get to 9. If someone beats me to it, then we'll be trapped here forever. That can't happen. I'm giving you an order as your commanding Escape.
What about the promise you made?
Promise?
Said you'd listen to anything.
So, I am, aren't I? I can sure hear you well enough. Every Every little word is reaching my ears, isn't it? What? Were you thinking of something gross? You're a perv.
Hey, come on now.
The number 9 door. It will read.
Anyway, I did what I promised, so I'll be heading off now.
Clover!
Clover!
Fucking bitch! You're not getting out of here!
Yep.
Bye, guys.
The number 9 door has closed. This ends the Nonary game. Thank you for your participation. As the game is over, all doors other than the number 9 door have been unlocked. Escape is not possible. Please enjoy.
She's gone.
Shit!
Help. Let's hope there's still some.
What's this supposed to mean? Timmy just said nothing, just shuffled off through the yellow door and out of the room. Cold silence descended on the rest of us. It was a silence that promised to remain for a very, very long time. Game over. Alright, where are we at? Alright. So the next ending we're going to get is called the Alice ending, and we're going to get that by going through the Cyan door, which we've never been through yet. Yeah, but we'll pick this up next time. We've been going for about an hour now, so I got some stuff I need to do today, and I'll do some more recording later. Alright. Y'all take care. Bye.